can you walk us through the steps of composing a typical episode of Stargate?
Yeah, I mean, it would start like...
and I've got cutaways.
Okay, yeah, so it would start with a spotting session. And this is the same with movies and game cinematics and that stuff like that. A spotting session where Rick and Joel would call Brad and Robert, and they'd go through the show on the phone, old school, and they'd, before digital video, everything would be on VHS tapes. So on the phone, they'd be like, okay, countdown to play, 3, 2, 1, play, and they both press because we were in LA and they were in Vancouver, so you're doing this over a long distance, and so they would watch through the show bit by bit and decide where music would be. Nowadays, you'll have temp music that kind of dictates the general style and feel of what the music is desired to be. The editor will put that in, with the help of the director or producer. But at the time, no temp music. It was all the shows were empty, and they would go through and figure out where every piece of music's going to be. Talk about, here's a new character. There's a new kind of character thread that might be going on, carrying on through future episodes. So maybe we should have a theme that's gonna you want to establish early on. Just kind of get be able to see the bigger picture beyond just the one episode. And then Rick would go and take all the notes and make a sheet that had all the timings on it, so we know the lengths. Which is very important in TV music, TV production. You have to kind of have an idea of, what the challenge is going to be ahead of you that week. How many minutes of music have to be written, and the mix dates are going to come whether you like it or not, and you got to be able to get that done. And we would, write and, have to basically produce and orchestrate and do everything. All in that time. But the next step, and I'm sorry if I'm jumping around here, but the next step would be, a planning phase where, we'd kind of figure out, who's going to do what and, divvy it up. And, Joel would go and if the show needed a special theme, he would start working on that and give me that if I was going to be expanding on that. And then, sorry, some water.
No, you're perfectly fine. Spotting and planning.
And so Joel would, write a theme for the episode, and a lot of the episodes had kind of, even if it was whether it was a new character or even just something that happened to be, like window of opportunity, for example. It's there's kind of a recurring motif because you have that Groundhog Day kind of vibe to it. So there's this kind of a musical motif that continues over and over again, kind of create a feeling of identity to that show, musical identity.
It's very specific, yeah.
Yeah. So, a lot of times I would do, he'd assign me a particular thread through the show that kind of allow for some continuity. Like if we were doing a show with replicators, Joel had written this great Jaws-esque replicator theme. And if it were a show that had keep cutting back to the replicators throughout, I might, take that segment just to kind of, for one, be able to create a sense of continuing momentum with each of the pieces. And to be honest, you're having to create a lot of music in a short period of time to be able to revisit ideas. It's a lot quicker than having to start over and kind of develop something from scratch.
Absolutely. No. Yeah. And then writing.
Yeah. We would have to, I'd say there'd be somewhere between 20 to 30 minutes of music in every episode. And we'd have about a week to do it, sometimes a little longer. And there will be, especially when SG1 and Atlantis were going at the same time, that's, double the amount of work. And we'd, this was didn't have the time or budget to do full orchestras. I mean, nowadays you hear a lot of shows that have orchestra in it. That was very rare at the time. So a lot of it was in the box, samples and occasionally some a soloist here and there. And you'd have to kind of write the music, orchestrate it, mix it all at the same time, and have to happen very quickly. But we'd always find the ways, whatever way we could, to really kind of give it the attention and the polish that we would expect from a movie, a cinematic score, because it was a sci-fi TV show, but it had the production value of a movie. It was telling a story as big as any Hollywood movie. So that's what we tried to give to every episode.
Wow. Was there a like, the more time that you spent with him, I would think that when it really got down to it, you could probably create a formula as to how much completed music he could create in, say, a day or two. Like, if he's got this amount of time in the office, he's going to be able to generate this many seconds of completed music. Were you able to calculate that in terms of what both of your output was?
You kind of have like a rough, best case scenario kind of thing, worst case scenario. Like we'd hope to only have to do about, a couple minutes a day. Those were the nice days, you get to really spend a lot of time. And then, sometimes you'd have to do 8 minutes a day. And that's, those are challenging days. Sometimes you're up for 3 days at a time. Sometimes, it was rough, but it was exciting, and maybe I'm romanticizing it all these years later, but there was kind of an adventure to it, just every day there'd be a new challenge, and sure. And I miss Joel so much. Just part of it was the camaraderie of knowing that, I might be working all night, but so was Joel on the other side of town, and we'd call each other up. And one time he sent his friend Gary over with a video camera, because it's before FaceTime calls or Zoom calls. He sent because Joel's very curious, and just kind of had this sense of humor that was unlike anyone I've seen. Sends his friend Gary over at 2 a.m. with a video camera to film me working, and then report back and show him, because he just wanted to see what it looked like while I was working, because he was just maybe looking for a distraction in the midst of really intense deadline.
Tight deadline.
That's the kind of thing he would do.
Oh, God, whatever to keep it moving, man.
Yeah.
Step 4: printing and delivery.
Yeah, every episode, at the end we would, starting out was digital tapes. A DA88 tape was an 8-track digital tape that had time code synchronization. You could synchronize it with the videotape that we were working on. And this sounds so ancient now, because now we had digital video and digital audio and everything. It's so simple. But we'd have an 8-track tape, and we would print, we were mixing in 5/1. So that would be 6 tracks. So we'd have 2 DA88 tapes. If any time there was a cue that overlapped with another one, we'd have a second tape that was the B-roll. And, we would, print it to the tape and FedEx it, or the tapes, FedEx it to Vancouver with enough time for it to get to the dub, where they would mix all the sound and the sound effects and the music and dialogue together. And then the producers would then review it in context with all the, everything together, and have any notes they would send, and we would address those as they had like a review, a revision mix that happened a few weeks later. And sometimes, we'd have to work with visual effects that weren't finished. We'd have like a blank, like a black slug that would say space battle for 20 seconds. There was nothing on it. And there's going to be these F-302s, flying through the air and this firefight happening, but you don't see anything. So you just kind of have to write something that you hope will kind of catch the mood of it. But then on this, we get another chance to go back and see the final visuals, and if we had to make any adjustments.
Right. Well, I mean, if you're going to, sure, it's say 20 seconds of space battle. If it's one shot, you know, then I can kind of get that. But if you're cutting multiple times, if you're changing perspective, you're going, as a composer, you're going to want to know where those cuts are.
Yeah.
You know, even if they are just static, or not static, but even if it is all just visual effect. So, wow.
You know, and if you have like, you know, spaceships flying through the sky with a certain movement, you know, there's always, I tend to be a very visual composer in that I like to match what's on screen to the best of my ability without quote unquote Mickey Mousing, as they call it, where you're hitting every little detail. But I kind of like the music to feel like it's moving hand in hand with the visuals. So
if the ship flies by, you want to have it like arc, like with the music.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Thanks for watching this clip from Dial the Gate. You can find the full live stream shows on our YouTube channel or visit dialthegate.com for the complete schedule. See you on the other side.